Well, the thing
All
is,
right.
like, when are you going to show me?
I'll show you. Just like
Okay.
wait
All
for
right.
it. The moment's got to be right here.
Okay.
Welcome to Grisora. This is Grisora Live, and I've got something that's I can't help. Every time I see these things, I'm just cracking up. So, are you ready to see this? Let me find. How do I share screen on here?
Oh, I
This is
thought you were
too
going to
good.
make me wait for like 10 more minutes.
Oh, maybe I should. That's a good idea. Can I even share screen on this system? I'm sure there's a way to do it. I've just never done it before.
Well, press H.
What am I doing here? There's got to be a way here. All right, so this is all about misconceptions, and I'm sure that once you see these, you're going to
So
think it's
here,
great.
you're challenging my misconception because you're the web guy, and yet you're having the technology issue.
Their UI is not built in a way that allows me to easily find what I'm looking for.
On mine, it says press H.
To share screen?
Yep.
H. Oh, there we go. All right, here we are. And we'll share an entire screen, actually.
Oh no. All right, people, like
And
get ready to
ready for
censor.
this? Here we go. Have you ever seen that logo? Primary Health? Do you know what that's supposed to be? It's supposed to be a cross, right? They're a medical organization. Doesn't that look like an evil Halloween pumpkin?
That's what I was looking at. I'm like, that's a like I think I've carved that before.
Yeah. Could you
Like when I was 12.
imagine? Could you imagine being the guy who thought that was a good idea? And now they've got an evil Halloween pumpkin on all of their buildings. Like it's even more pronounced down here on just black and white.
Like no one is going to be able to unsee that. You just like cut their business in half.
Well, and that's not the worst one. You ready for another fun one?
You've got another one?
So these built, I'm driving down the road, minding my own business, and that was the second one. The first one I saw cracked me up
No. We
even
already
more.
established you don't mind, let alone your own business.
Here we go. It's KFC. Have you ever noticed Colonel Sanders? So he in the early 2000s, he's wearing this nice bow tie and he's got his little suit on and an apron. In the 90s, he didn't even have the apron. He just good old Southern gentleman. But since 2014, he's now a stick figure with a giant head on him. Like his chicken fame has gone all to his head. You can see it right here.
Oh man.
I'm driving down the road and there's KFC and I'm dying because I see this giant head with a stick figure and I'd never seen it before. I'm like, how did the design team not realize that they were drawing a stick figure with this head half the size of Texas? And so I'm barely able to stay on the road and I look up to my left and all of a sudden I see this evil Halloween pumpkin staring me in the face from the opposite side of the road.
Okay, that's I'm kind of nervous for what comes next week.
Right. Well, hopefully nobody else makes these terrible ideas on how to
That stick figure though.
how to brand their business.
Right? Okay, we're gonna have to do a spot on good branding here.
Maybe. I was thinking just like communication in general. What are they thinking they're going to communicate by creating stick figure Colonel Sanders?
Well, but I mean, let's give the benefit of the doubt. You can see how it like the bow tie in context is a bow tie, but as soon as they get rid of the rest of the suit and everything else, like
it was a bow tie. In fact, I have a friend who's in his 80s, and on his wall is a picture of him with Colonel Sanders. They were best friends. They'd go hang out together, they'd go do all the things together. And I can promise you, Colonel Sanders was not a stick figure. I've seen an actual picture of him. He was a Southern gentleman with a Southern suit. And so, unfortunately, I think they've kind of lost that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, probably shouldn't share those stories here. Well, I was all prepared to talk about something.
Oh, what did you want to talk about?
Well, I want you to guess.
Um,
And I'll give you some clues.
Okay, I'm ready.
So it's one of the most important assets in any small business, but it doesn't show up on the balance sheet or the income statement.
Oh, it must be their IP, like their stick figure Colonel Sanders.
Their intellectual property. Sometimes that actually can be valued on the balance sheet, but
In
that's
fact,
not it.
I think their recipe makes it on their balance sheet, their secret formula recipe.
Probably does.
Yeah. So that can't be it. All right.
That
So
can't
if
be
it's
it.
not on the balance sheet, I would guess the next thing you're probably thinking about is the employees.
No, that's a good guess, except for they show up on the income statement.
Well, and they also show up on the expense statement too with payroll. Huh.
So,
So if it's not
let's give you another
employees
clue.
and it's not Colonel Sanders,
Every owner has it when they start, and most are actively depleting it and don't notice until it's nearly gone.
So I was going to say vision, because they usually have some sort of vision when they start. And a couple months or a couple years in, the vision is pretty well worn out and they've given up on it and they're just doing operations. But you said depleting, which changes it from vision to probably like energy and excitement and some emotion that I haven't thought of the right word yet.
Well, I think you landed on it pretty close. I mean, it comes down to their health.
Oh, like Colonel Sanders. He's far less healthy looking as a stick figure.
Yes, he is.
We're going to get a cease and desist letter from somebody, I'm sure.
We probably are, which we'll probably have to read online, which will make it this way more fun.
That's right. I wonder if we could get an AI stick figure to read it for us.
With a giant head.
With a giant head, yes.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, like, can we borrow that concept, like for anything that we're working on, like a stick figure with a giant head?
That, or we could do, we could combine them and turn it into the scary pumpkin giant head stick figure guy.
Ooh.
For our Halloween edition.
For the Halloween edition. I was
That's
thinking
right.
like Jason and Brett as stick figure giant heads.
Oh, we should totally sell bobbleheads of us.
Bobbleheads. There you go.
And anyone who comes on the show to ask a question, if they're brave enough, we'll let them choose. Do they want a Jason or do we want a Brett? And that way we'll know who the favorite host is.
Well, I mean, we all know who the favorite host is.
Well, I don't want to say it out loud.
Well, I will. It's you.
Oh, okay. Thanks. I'll take it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Anyway, so I was all ready to talk about health, but you want to talk about logos and branding.
You know, the only reason I won was because we disqualified your mother from voting, but not my mother from voting on the favorite host.
Oh, well, I don't know about that.
Well, we'll run the stats again later.
You too.
So anyway, we're talking about health.
Health. Yes. Yes.
Like primary health.
Like primary health. I mean, so there is a good segue into that. You did great with that, like not without even realizing it.
Yeah, I tried.
So you've just
did I derail you?
You completely. Yes, but in a good way, because I need to be derailed, because otherwise I turn into stuffy professor mode. So this is a really good thing, and I'm trying to like avoid going there.
Oh, okay. So I do have a bit of a thought around that whole health issue.
Okay.
Because I know I've struggled with it over time, and I'm still not as healthy as I want to be. But I've got a couple things going against me when I get older, which never helps anybody. But the second was having that traumatic back situation to where I couldn't walk for a little while and then had to be super careful afterwards. It made it far easier to be sedentary. And then that sedentary lifestyle combined with the idea of bringing on these new things and these exciting things. I know for me, when I get like into the zone on something and I'm working on something, it could be productive. It could be a total waste of my time. But when I'm in that zone and focused in on it, sometimes it's really easy to put all these other things on the shelf. So for me, like my good health, I'm healthy enough today. I'm healthy enough today. And so it becomes less of a priority because it's something that, like, oh, I'm healthy enough, it'll be fine. But health is one of those things that you have to make the small daily deposits on. It's like brushing your teeth. It doesn't happen just once a year. It has to happen on a regular, consistent basis. And I think a lot of small, myself included, a lot of small business owners, we get so stacked up with the things we're going to work on. Some of these other items that don't scream as loudly to us or within our own brains don't scream as loudly kind of get sidelined. And then all of a sudden you wake up one day and you're like, whoa, what happened? How did I get where I'm at?
Yeah. Yeah, or like for me, it was even like an intentional, like I don't have time for that right now because I'm building this other thing.
Mm.
And so like I recognize that it's deteriorating and I figure that's just a cost of just one of the costs I have to pay in order to achieve the thing that I want to achieve.
Which to a
And
certain extent is a semi-true statement. You have 24 hours in a day.
yeah,
You can sleep some, eat some, for you family some, work some, and you have this little pile left of extra time. Where is that extra time getting allocated? Because we are
right.
limited.
Yeah, and we all have that same constraint. So, but like I can go back to, I used to work in construction, and when we're traveling out of state doing construction, it was not it was not uncommon to do 14-hour days.
Hmm.
Like just because I mean there wasn't really anything else to do. You were living in a we were living in a campground, in a trailer, and you'd wake up at whatever time in the morning, 6, and go straight to work. And then when it was too dark to work, then you'd go back, shower, have a quick bite to eat, and go to sleep and start all again the next day because you wanted to get back home as quickly as you could.
Right. Yeah, and
And
the mini golf isn't that exciting at most of those campgrounds.
right, and so the but the ability to work in that type of environment and be effective 14 hours a day, day after day, at least for a couple of weeks, that's sustainable.
Hmm.
I've had other jobs, other occupations where 6 hours of intensive mental effort sitting at a desk wipes me out, and I have like no product, like there's no productivity that can happen even if I stayed for another 6 hours. Like it's like mentally, there's nothing left to give,
You
and
just
so
you just hit a critical piece because a second ago you were talking about working physically for 14 hours on construction, which if you're just a grunt on a job site, there's very little brain power. This is all
Mhm.
physical over here. Over here, you're talking about 6 hours of intense mental exertion, which is wildly different than working the physical. The physical will sometimes, if you don't overdo it, help you keep that health going, but the intense intellectual will allow the physical health to deteriorate. And if the stress is too high, will actually deteriorate some of the mental and emotional health too.
Yeah, yeah, it's one of those things like we have that like we have these notions of like if a desk job isn't real work, and maybe for some people it's not if they're just watching cat videos all day. I don't know, but um, this idea, but yet our brain is like 2% of our body mass, and yet it burns over a fifth of our energy, over 20% of our energy, and to think that
Wowzers.
it's not extremely challenging to turn that into overdrive. And I actually don't know. It'd be an interesting thing to look up to see if we can actually, if thinking harder increases the burn rate of energy that are from our for our brain. I expect that it would, the same as working a muscle causes it to burn more energy than just sitting still, but I'm not actually sure if that's the case.
I do remember now I don't remember the study that they were citing, but I do remember hearing some people talk about that once and saying that a person who's engaged at a very high intense level will burn far more calories from the mental processes than when they're not engaged. And you've probably seen it as well. You can get so into that thing that you're doing that you can actually cause a physiological response to where your mental state can cause you to actually go into fight or flight and start sweating and start your heart rate goes up, all those things in anticipation of that mental exertion that you're going to be putting out.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, probably is. We need some more research to really confirm. So, but anyway, so this last week, I mean, the reason that this comes up is because I've talked to three different business owners, who are all struggling with health issues,
Hmm.
and only one of the three had actually recently started making any changes to improve the situation.
Oh wow.
After in the last 2 years having gained, I think like 50 pounds, they've about 6 weeks ago they started taking things more seriously, and they're down they're down 16 pounds from where they were, at their peak, and it's this. But to think about our health from the standpoint of it really truly is an asset, even if it doesn't show up on the balance sheet. And it's something like you said, I love that analogy of teeth brushing. Like, sure, you could brush your teeth for, let's say, um, four times, like for 2 hours once a month, but that doesn't give you anywhere near the same benefit as brushing your teeth for 2 minutes twice a day.
I'm pretty sure if you scrubbed on your teeth for 2 hours, you'd get to the point you're starting to wear the enamel off.
Like it would be detrimental,
Right.
not beneficial, whereas 2 minutes twice a day is beneficial. And
Yeah.
so, but yet we don't treat, many business owners don't treat health as a priority, even though it's one of the most critical assets of their business. And it's something that, like, I've had to go through that journey, and I'm trying to figure out now, like, what is it that motivates various business owners to actually take that seriously. I mean, like you said, for you it was, you tied it into your vision. You're like, how am I supposed to achieve this grand vision that I want to achieve if I don't have the supporting physical energy to be able to make it happen? And and I think for me, I can see the same thing, like the the suffering, and that's really bad framing. I've never had a good relationship with exercise, but I've been pretty consistent over the last year or so. And but I do it for my future self. I do it for, grandchildren I don't yet have. I do it for my current children.
Mhm.
I do it so I can experience more of the joys of life, and so that I can give more, to my business and community. And so, like, these are all reasons outside of myself directly, that of who I am right now, that I'm willing to make that sacrifice, and I definitely can see the benefits. Um, and so that's part of it. One thing that has certainly helped, I know that, and this particular business owner, I was actually his catalyst for making the change, and my catalyst for getting serious about making the change was actually my sister-in-law's.
Hmm.
Because the thing that has really helped me and made the difference for me has been getting my hormones, balanced and fixed. And, like, I had it's one of those things that for most men that I associate with, think it's like would never like the idea of even having a conversation about it is something they don't want to touch with a 10-foot pole.
Hmm.
Um, and yet, just hearing experience after experience from my sister-in-laws and a few other people, of how it changed the energy that they were able to devote to their family, to their life, to their own pursuits and hobbies. It's like, maybe there's something to it. And I'd been struggling for so long, being on the exercise train and falling off, and then getting back on and falling off. It's like, well, maybe there's something there. And so I went, talked to a doctor. And the thing I love, like, we have like homeopathy, and and then you have like the hormones. And I do some homeopathic things that I believe work, but at the end of the day, there's no hard numbers on whether or not a lot of those types of things are really beneficial for you or not. It's really just
Gotcha.
like, I mean, it could be mostly placebo, and placebos are real effects, so not necessarily a bad thing.
Yep. Yep.
But um, when it comes to hormones, you can use actual numbers.
Mm.
Like you can get a blood test and you have real numbers to work from, and then you can, and then working with a practitioner, you can adjust those numbers in the right direction if they're not where they need to be. And so for me, it ties really closely into business because it's empirical. Like you can see the progress over time, you can see how things change, and it's not just a feeling. Though I feel way better having gotten things fixed, and I haven't fallen off the exercise train like I have so many times in the past. I've been able to keep that consistency because I got my base. My biochemistry is in a lot better position than it was before, and so I think a big part is just realizing how many different aspects we have that affect our physical health, our mental health, our emotional health, our spiritual health. That and you know all four of those areas kind of have to be at more or less the same level. If one gets too far out, then everything suffers.
Totally.
And anyway, so I was talking to these business owners and asking them like what, and you know they were talking about health, and I was asking them, so what's gets them motivated, like what are they working on, and what and where are they going. And it was just, it's still an open question for me, like why do, like, and even though had the experience myself, like why don't we take it more seriously from day one?
That's an interesting philosophical question. I think we could come up with 100 answers really quickly. And I think that each one could be partially true or completely true for an individual. But I don't think that this is limited to just business owners either, because we talk about in society the dad bod and this idea that dads are going to be a little bit less healthy. And the reason for that is like we're dedicating so much of our time to making money for our family. We're dedicating so much time to taking care of our family. We're
Oh
dedicating so
wait, but
much time taking care of the
dad
kids
bod has a basis in chemistry.
that okay.
So like, and this is science. So the pheromones and other things given off by your pregnant wife actually make you hungrier. They put you into a mode where you want to eat more.
Oh wow.
So in prep, like idea, you know, evolutionary basis is that they want, you know, you're preparing your body to be able to go without finding sustenance because you're going to be helping to care for a newborn. But
Oh, interesting.
like dad bod is actually, like there's actually chemical changes that happen to the husband during pregnancy. It's not just on the wife. Like, and so dad bod has that basis in chemistry, in our biochemistry. Anyway,
There we go.
so it's there's something there's more going on than just mindset.
Sure, sure, absolutely. But there's a lot of factors that play in for
Mhm.
different people. I was talking to someone who's a brand new business owner and they've got kids and they're running around doing all the different things and they're like, "I don't know how I'd have enough time to even take care of my health right now." And I said, "You're right, you don't. With that mindset, you'll never will." And that usually takes people back a little bit when I agree with them that they don't have time. And so then they started thinking about my side of the argument and they're like, "Well, no, you're right because I'll never make time for it until it becomes a priority." You're right again. And yet we all fall for that trap of we are programmed, I think, to a certain extent, to look for the biggest threats and start pounding those biggest threats with the hammer we have. And our health is such a quiet thing most of the time until it sneaks up behind us, grabs us, and shakes us up real good that we just don't pay attention to it because it's not screaming.
Yeah, and it's like, is there a way that we can help each other circumvent that? I mean, cause like anybody listening, and all of us, we all have friends who I mean, it's very, health is one of those things. Like, there's a lot of there's a lot of poor, you know, there's a lot of addictions and other things that people have that can be kept in secret. But health is one of those things. It's like you can look at a person, it's like, yeah, you're healthy, you're not. or like how healthy are you? It's something that's very obvious. So how can we help each other as a community to make it more of a
You know
priority
what though?
in
You just said something that was wrong. Like
what's
you
that?
said, you can tell if they're healthy or not, but you really can't. Like you're walking down the street, there's this person standing there, and they looked really normal until I got close enough, and they started acting like a nut job, right? And so there's this mental health level. Like you
Yes,
can't
yes.
truly see the mental health inside someone. There's people who are out there, they're screaming for help because mentally they're in a terrible state. But unless you've interacted with them to a big degree, you may not recognize that. So you can see some of the physical characteristics of poor health, like the bags under the eyes if they're sleep deprived, the being way too much weight that they're carrying on their body for the size, the height that they are, those kinds of things. But we can't always see the emotional health, or like you said, the addictions sometimes don't manifest themselves in a way that you can truly see those too. And the addictions will oftentimes, people will give up their sleep to go to a bar and drink because they're too miserable. And I was talking to this lady once, and she's like, it's interesting, our bodies have this natural cycle that's supposed to flush, and it runs in the middle of the night when we're supposed to be sleeping. Isn't it interesting that we all go to the bar and drink and get all this toxins and all this alcohol that's toxic to our system, and we're putting it in when the system's supposed to be flushing, and the system can't flush because we're not asleep, because we're at the bar filling ourselves up with toxins. And yet we don't see necessarily that side of someone being an alcoholic up front. It will eventually manifest itself. But I think a lot of it is, if we don't know the people around us, and if we don't take time to care about the people around us, we won't know. Is it an emotional problem? Is it a weight problem? Is it an alcohol or other addiction problem that they have? But when we do take time to know the people around us and care about the ones around us, we can act as a support to them to help lift them from those problems to a healthier state. And those around us can do the same for us.
So what I'm hearing you saying indirectly, it's not so much about the health, it is about the relationships.
Hmm. I think that helps a lot.
So um, like I say, that's the reason why I've made changes in my own life, and is for those relationships, not for myself.
Yeah.
As much as I envy those people who are CrossFit junkies from the that go to that church and have that self-driven ability to do so. It's not something, because as entrepreneurs, for a lot of us, we're willing to sacrifice ourselves for others, for our community, for what because our dream isn't just for us. Our dream is how we're making the world a better place.
Yep. Totally.
And it's almost always for somebody else. So I guess that's the invitation. So with the relationships that you have, the relationships that you could develop, um, you make sure that we're reaching out and being willing to have the conversations to support one another in all aspects, but especially this aspect of health, both physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, so that we have the asset that is growing and getting stronger, even though this asset of health doesn't show up on our financial statements. We want to be growing that. And I just have like last questions, like what would it look like if our if our health showed up on a statement of some kind, like a health statement? If we could actually see the empirical numbers, would would that, because to say, like, if you see your cash flow is
There's a
gonna
lot of
go
people with broke
negative.
bank accounts, but if we had that health statement taped to our back, I can promise you there'd be a lot more people that would pay attention to it because they'd be socially embarrassed to have people aware. Just like if everybody that was in debt on their car was forced to have their car one color, there'd be a lot less people in debt on their cars because it would become a social stigma against that. So I think the social would be pushing people more than if they can just measure it, because we hide those things from ourselves because we don't want to see it sometimes.
Back to those relationships. Yeah, because we don't want to see it, but having it forced, if when we're reviewing our financial statements for our business, we also saw a health statement right along with it.
Yeah. All right, we're at 30 minutes.
Anyway,
So
well,
thanks
for the conversation.
See ya.